Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for the gift of life, for the privilege of access, and for the mercy that has kept us until this very moment. As we stand on this Saturday, the 17th of January, we recognize that days are not ordinary. They are vessels of destiny. We declare that this day carries divine possibilities, ordained encounters, and supernatural interventions for everyone connected to this prayer. Lord, we acknowledge that without your help, human strength fails. Without your wisdom, effort becomes struggle. Tonight, we humble ourselves under your mighty hand, declaring that you are the source of help, the lifter of men, and the restorer of destinies. Let every heart be aligned, let every mind be focused, and let every spirit be sensitive to what you are about to release. Divine help is the intervention of God that steps into human limitation and produces results that effort alone can never achieve. It is important to understand that life is governed by laws, both physical and spiritual. And while diligence, skill, and intelligence are valuable, there comes a point where human capacity reaches its limit. At that point, only divine help can take over. Many people struggle not because they are lazy or unqualified, but because they are attempting to win spiritual battles with only natural strength. When divine help is absent, even simple things become difficult. When divine help is present, difficult things become effortless. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming that progress is only a function of hard work. Hard work is important, but it is not sufficient. There are people who work harder than you and still do not advance. There are people with fewer qualifications who rise faster. This is not injustice. It is the mystery of divine assistance. Divine help is what causes a man to be remembered when others are forgotten. It is what introduces favor into systems that normally resist you. It is what causes timing, people, and opportunities to align in your favor. Divine help does not negate responsibility, it empowers it. God does not help the idle, but he also does not leave the diligent to struggle alone. When divine help comes upon a person, their efforts begin to carry unusual results. The same actions you were doing before suddenly start producing outcomes beyond explanation. This is because divine help adds an invisible advantage. It is the difference between pushing a door and watching it open by itself. It is the difference between swimming against the current and being carried by it. Understanding divine help also means recognizing that help is a person before it is an event. God is the ultimate helper, but he often expresses his help through men, systems, and circumstances. When God wants to help you, he may not come down physically. He will position someone with influence, insight, or resources to cross your path. This is why spiritual sensitivity is critical. Many people pray for miracles, but ignore relationships, instructions, and opportunities that are answers to their prayers. Divine help often looks ordinary until you discern it. Another key dimension of divine help is timing. You can be correct and still be early or late. Divine help aligns you with God's calendar. There are seasons where effort yields little, and there are seasons where a single step produces massive results. When divine help comes, it brings you into the right season at the right time with the right people. This is why some breakthroughs seem sudden. They are not sudden. They are the manifestation of alignment. Years of preparation meet a moment of divine assistance. Divine help also delivers you from battles you were never meant to fight. Not every resistance is meant to be confronted with force. Some oppositions are neutralized when God steps in. When divine help is active, certain doors open without negotiation, and certain enemies lose interest without confrontation. This is because divine help changes the environment. It rewrites rules, shifts atmospheres, and causes favor to speak where merit is insufficient. Many people are exhausted because they are trying to be their own helper. They carry burdens they were never designed to carry. Divine help brings rest. It allows you to function from a place of trust rather than anxiety. When you know that God is helping you, you stop panicking about outcomes and start focusing on obedience. Peace becomes your strength because you understand that results are no longer dependent on you alone. To walk in divine help, humility is essential. Pride disconnects men from help because it creates the illusion of self-sufficiency. God helps those who acknowledge their need for him. Prayer is not weakness, it is intelligence. It is the recognition that there are dimensions beyond human control. When a person consistently seeks God, they position themselves for consistent help. Divine help is attracted to dependence, not arrogance. Divine help is not just for emergencies, it is meant to be a lifestyle. God desires to be involved in your decisions, your plans, and your daily walk. When you invite him into every area, you experience guidance before trouble, wisdom before mistakes, and strength before exhaustion. This is the highest expression of divine help. Living a life where God is not a last option, but the first reference point. When this understanding settles in your spirit, struggle loses its power and breakthrough becomes a natural outcome of alignment with God. Divine timing is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful principles that govern spiritual progress and lasting breakthrough. Many people are frustrated not because God has said no, but because God has said not yet. Alignment with divine timing means understanding that God operates by seasons, and every season has a purpose. When you discern the season you are in, frustration gives way to peace, and confusion is replaced by strategy. A seed planted at the wrong time will not grow, no matter how good it is. In the same way, a destiny revealed too early can be destroyed by pressure, opposition, or immaturity. Spiritual seasons are not determined by calendars alone. They are determined by preparedness, alignment, and obedience. There are times when God hides you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. These hidden seasons are often uncomfortable because nothing seems to be happening outwardly, yet everything is being formed inwardly. In these moments, impatience becomes the greatest enemy of destiny. Many people abort what God is doing because they mistake silence for absence. Alignment with divine timing requires trust when there is no visible evidence. One of the dangers of ignoring divine timing is premature exposure. When someone rises before their time, they attract battles they are not yet equipped to win. Divine timing protects you from unnecessary warfare. It allows your strength, character, and wisdom to grow quietly until the moment you are strong enough to stand publicly. This is why some doors remain closed despite intense prayer. God is not withholding, he is shielding. What you are asking for may be good, but the timing determines whether it will be a blessing or a burden. Divine timing also governs relationships, opportunities, and transitions. Not every open door is your door, and not every delay is a denial. Some opportunities are tests of discernment rather than answers to prayer. When you are aligned with divine timing, you develop the grace to wait and the wisdom to move when the moment comes. You stop forcing outcomes and start responding to instructions. This alignment saves you from costly mistakes that come from haste. Waiting seasons refine motives. They expose why you want what you want. Many people desire breakthroughs for validation rather than purpose. Divine timing corrects this by dealing with the heart. In the waiting, God strips away pride, fear, and dependency on human applause. What remains is a heart that desires God's will above personal ambition. This kind of heart can be trusted with influence, resources, and visibility without being corrupted by them. Another dimension of divine timing is acceleration. When alignment is complete, God can compress years into moments. What looked like delay suddenly turns into speed. This is why some testimonies seem overnight, yet they are the result of long seasons of obedience and preparation. Divine timing ensures that when promotion comes, it comes with stability. You are not only lifted, you are sustained. You do not just arrive, you remain. Misalignment with divine timing often produces stress, burnout, and confusion. When you move ahead of God, you must maintain what God never initiated. This leads to exhaustion because you are carrying outcomes without grace. Alignment, on the other hand, produces peace even in uncertainty. You may not know how it will happen, but you know it will happen. This confidence comes from trusting the one who controls times and seasons. Understanding seasons also helps you interpret delays correctly. Delay does not always mean resistance. Sometimes it means development. God may be strengthening your capacity so that what you receive does not overwhelm you. Capacity is as important as desire. Divine timing ensures that when blessing arrives, your inner structure is strong enough to hold it. Without this, blessings can become distractions or even sources of destruction. Alignment with divine timing is maintained through sensitivity to instruction. God often gives simple directions that preserve timing, such as wait, prepare, or move now. These instructions may not make sense logically, but obedience keeps you synchronized with heaven. When you obey promptly, you stay in rhythm with God's agenda for your life. Divine timing is an expression of God's love. He is not slow, he is precise. He knows the end from the beginning and positions you for maximum impact with minimum damage. When you embrace divine timing, you stop fighting God and start flowing with him. You realize that the delay is working for you, not against you. In this alignment, peace becomes your compass, obedience becomes your strategy, and breakthrough becomes inevitable at the appointed time. Faith is not a feeling, and prayer is not a ritual. Faith is a spiritual force, and prayer is the authorized channel through which that force is released. Many people pray, yet few truly activate faith because they approach prayer as a religious duty rather than a conscious engagement with spiritual reality. Activating faith begins with understanding that prayer is not meant to inform God of your needs, but to align your spirit with his authority and promises. When faith is active, prayer shifts from begging to declaring, from wishing to enforcing what heaven has already established. Conscious prayer requires awareness. You must know what you are doing when you pray and why you are doing it. Random words spoken without conviction do not carry power. Faith is activated when prayer is rooted in revelation, not desperation. This is why effective prayer begins with light. When you understand who God is, who you are in him, and what has been made available to you, your words carry weight. Faith responds to truth, not emotion. The more truth you carry, the stronger your declarations become. Declarations are verbal expressions of faith that align your words with divine intent. They are not positive thinking, they are spiritual legislation. Life responds to words, whether spoken consciously or unconsciously. When faith is activated, you become intentional with your speech. You stop describing your problems and start defining outcomes. This does not mean denying reality. It means choosing which reality has the highest authority. Faith does not ignore challenges, but it refuses to let them have the final say. Prayer that activates faith is specific. Vague prayers produce vague results. When you know what you want, you pray with clarity. Faith thrives on precision because it is built on conviction. When you articulate your expectations clearly, your spirit aligns with your words, and your words align with heaven. This alignment creates spiritual momentum. It is not about volume or length. It is about accuracy and belief. Another key to activating faith through prayer is consistency. Faith grows with use. Sporadic prayer produces unstable confidence, but disciplined prayer builds spiritual muscle. When you engage prayer daily, your sensitivity increases, your discernment sharpens, and your authority matures. Over time, you notice that your prayers shift from request to command because faith has been strengthened through relationship, not repetition. Faith is also activated through agreement. When prayer aligns with divine will, it carries unstoppable force. This is why praying the promises of God is powerful. When your declarations are based on what God has already spoken, you are not trying to convince him, you are enforcing his word. Heaven responds quickly to prayers that echo its own language. This is the highest level of faith-driven prayer. One of the greatest enemies of faith-filled prayer is doubt disguised as humility, saying, if it is your will. After God has already revealed his will, weakens faith. Faith is bold because it trusts God's integrity. When you are unsure, it's acceptable to ask for clarity. But once light comes, hesitation must leave. Faith requires courage to stand on what God has said, even when circumstances contradict it. Activating faith also demands control over inner dialogue. What you continually tell yourself eventually shapes what you believe. Prayer is not only spoken outwardly, it is reinforced inwardly. If your declarations are strong but your thoughts are weak, faith will struggle to manifest. This is why meditation is important. Meditating on truth strengthens belief, and belief empowers prayer. What dominates your mind will eventually dominate your results. Faith-filled prayer creates spiritual resistance against negativity, fear, and limitation. When you pray consciously, you are not just asking for change, you are becoming the change. Your confidence increases, your posture shifts, and your actions begin to reflect expectation. Faith without corresponding action becomes passive, but faith expressed through prayer produces alignment between belief and behavior. Another important aspect is patience. Faith does not panic when results are delayed. Activated faith rests in confidence, not anxiety. It understands that manifestation follows alignment, and alignment may take time. This patience is not passive waiting, it is active trust. You continue declaring, obeying, and believing even when nothing seems to be changing. Conscious prayer transforms the person praying before it transforms the situation. As faith is activated, fear loses its grip, confusion gives way to clarity, and weakness is replaced with spiritual strength. Prayer becomes a lifestyle of communion and authority rather than an emergency response. When faith is consistently activated through conscious prayer and declaration, breakthroughs are no longer occasional events, they become predictable outcomes of a life aligned with divine truth. Patterns of delay, stagnation, and resistance are not always the result of visible mistakes. Many times they are sustained by unseen cycles that repeat themselves until they are confronted with spiritual understanding and authority. A pattern is a repeated outcome, and when negative results continue despite effort, sincerity, and prayer, it is an invitation to look beyond the surface. Breaking these patterns begins with awareness. You cannot defeat what you do not discern. Many people normalize delay, calling it patience, when in reality it is a pattern that must be addressed. Delay becomes dangerous when it turns into stagnation. Delay is temporary, stagnation is settled. When years pass and nothing changes despite growth in knowledge and effort, it signals resistance. Resistance does not always mean opposition from people. It can be a misalignment of principles, a violation of spiritual laws, or an unaddressed area of disobedience. Until the root is identified, the fruit will remain the same. Breaking patterns requires the courage to confront uncomfortable truths about one's life, choices, and spiritual posture. One major source of repeated delay is incomplete obedience. Partial obedience creates cycles of almost breakthrough. You get close but never arrive. You see progress but never stability. This is because obedience is not measured by intention but by completion. Many people obey God in areas that are convenient and resist Him in areas that require sacrifice. These hidden areas become legal grounds for delay. When obedience becomes total, resistance loses its strength. Another cause of stagnation is spiritual fatigue. Over time, repeated disappointments can drain expectation. When hope is weakened, effort becomes mechanical. You keep moving, but you are no longer believing. This inner exhaustion opens the door for stagnation because faith is the fuel for progress. Breaking this cycle requires renewal, not more activity. You must restore your inner strength through truth, prayer, and divine perspective. When strength returns, momentum follows. Resistance can also be sustained by negative patterns of thinking and speaking. Words are containers of direction. If your language is filled with defeat, fear, and limitation, you reinforce the very patterns you are trying to escape. Many people pray for change, but speak against their prayers daily. Breaking patterns requires alignment between prayer, belief, and confession. Why? O must intentionally replace negative narratives with declarations of truth, even when emotions resist it. Some patterns persist because of wrong spiritual associations. Every relationship carries influence, whether positive or negative. There are connections that drain virtue, reinforce fear, and normalize failure. When you remain connected to environments that contradict your destiny, stagnation becomes inevitable. Breaking patterns sometimes requires separation. This is not pride, it is wisdom. Growth demands an atmosphere that supports it. Unforgiveness and unresolved emotional wounds also sustain resistance. Inner pain becomes an anchor that keeps you tied to past seasons. When offense is carried, it distorts perception and weakens spiritual authority. Cannot move forward while holding on to what hurt you behind. Forgiveness is not approval of wrong, it is release from captivity. When forgiveness is genuine, spiritual flow is restored and resistance loses its grip. Breaking cycles also demands spiritual authority. Some patterns do not respond to counseling alone. They require confrontation through prayer and declaration. This is where spiritual authority becomes essential. Authority is not volume, it is alignment with truth. When you stand on what God has said and refuse to accept repeated failure as normal, you begin to legislate change. This is not arrogance, it is responsibility. Authority is exercised when you stop negotiating with patterns and start command in them to end. Consistency is critical in breaking long-standing cycles. Patterns were not formed overnight, and they rarely break in a single moment. Persistence in truth, obedience, and prayer creates pressure in the spirit until resistance collapses. Many people quit too early, mistaking process for defeat. Breaking patterns requires endurance. You keep standing even when results are not immediate because you understand that change is already happening beneath the surface. Breaking patterns requires a new identity. If you continue to see yourself as a victim of circumstances, cycles will continue. Transformation begins when you redefine who you are and what you are permitted to accept. When your identity changes, your tolerance changes. You no longer accept delay as normal or failure as destiny. You begin to live from a place of authority rather than reaction. When patterns of delay, stagnation, and resistance are broken, progress becomes natural. You no longer struggle to move forward. Movement becomes your default state. Doors begin to open without excessive effort. Clarity replaces confusion, and momentum is restored. This is not because life becomes easier, but because alignment has been established. Once alignment is in place, resistance loses its power and destiny begins to unfold with speed and stability. Spiritual laws govern outcomes in the same way natural laws govern the physical world, whether one is aware of them or not. These laws are constantly at work. Producing results according to alignment or violation. Obedience, sacrifice, and surrender are not religious concepts meant to restrict people. They are spiritual principles that create access to divine backing. When these laws are engaged intentionally, they produce results that effort alone cannot achieve. Many people pray for change without adjusting alignment. And when alignment is missing, prayer becomes noise rather than power. Obedience is the foundation of spiritual authority. It is the deliberate response to divine instruction, even when that instruction challenges logic, comfort, or preference. Obedience is powerful because it demonstrates trust. It says, I believe that God knows better than I do. Partial obedience weakens outcomes because it mixes trust with control. Many delays exist not because God is unwilling, but because obedience is incomplete. Obedience positions a person under divine covering, where resistance is minimized and favor is maximized. True obedience is tested when instructions are inconvenient. Anyone can obey when it benefits them immediately, but obedience that carries power is obedience that costs something. This is where sacrifice becomes relevant. Sacrifice is the proof of value. What you are unwilling to release reveals what controls you. Sacrifice is not loss, it is exchange. You are exchanging something temporary for something eternal, something limited for something divine. In spiritual systems, sacrifice creates movement. It speaks louder than words because it demonstrates seriousness. Sacrifice also breaks the power of entitlement. Entitlement weakens spiritual flow because it assumes access without honor. When people believe they deserve outcomes without alignment, frustration follows. Sacrifice realigns the heart. It reminds the soul that blessings are stewarded, not owned. This posture attracts divine involvement because it reflects humility. God responds to honor, not demand. Sacrifice shifts you from a position of expectation to a position of reverence. Surrender is the highest expression of trust. It is the release of control over outcomes, timelines, and methods. Many people obey partially and sacrifice selectively, but refuse surrender fully. They want God to help them while retaining authority over the process. Surrender does not mean passivity, it means yielding leadership. It is acknowledging that God is not just a helper, but the architect. Until surrender is complete, anxiety remains because control has not been released. One of the challenges with surrender is fear. Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of the unknown. Yet true surrender produces peace, not insecurity. When you surrender, you stop striving and start flowing. You no longer need to manipulate situations or force doors open. Divine wisdom begins to guide decisions effortlessly. Surrender positions you to receive guidance before mistakes rather than correction after damage. Obedience, sacrifice, and surrender work together as a system. Obedience aligns your actions, sacrifice aligns your values, and surrender aligns your heart. When all three are engaged, spiritual resistance weakens dramatically. Many people experience temporary breakthroughs because they obey without surrendering or sacrifice without obedience. Lasting results require full alignment. Spiritual laws do not bend to emotion, they respond to order. Another dimension of these laws is consistency. Obedience once is an event, obedience continually is a lifestyle. Sacrifice occasionally is generosity. Sacrifice consistently is devotion. Surrender in crisis is relief. Surrender daily is transformation. Consistency establishes spiritual credibility. It signals maturity. Heaven entrusts more to those who are stable, not impulsive. Stability is proof of readiness. Engaging these laws also refines character. Obedience kills rebellion. Sacrifice kills greed. Surrender kills pride. These internal transformations are as important as external breakthroughs. Without character refinement, promotion becomes dangerous. Spiritual laws protect you from receiving what you are not yet prepared to manage. What feels like delay is often preservation. It is important to understand that these principles do not manipulate God, they align you with Him. God is not moved by performance, but by posture. When obedience, sacrifice, and surrender are genuine, they create harmony between human will and divine will. In that harmony, power flows naturally. There is less struggle because resistance has lost its legal ground. Engaging these spiritual laws shifts your life from reaction to intention. You no longer wait for things to happen. You position yourself for what God has already prepared. You stop chasing results and start cultivating alignment. In this state, divine help becomes consistent, breakthroughs become sustainable, and peace becomes permanent. This is the power of obedience, the depth of sacrifice, and the freedom of surrender working together to establish a life governed by divine order rather than human limitation. There is a realm where effort alone is no longer the deciding factor for progress, and that realm is governed by alignment. Many people are sincere, hardworking, and disciplined, yet their results remain limited because alignment has not been established. Alignment is the state where your position, purpose, and principles are in harmony with divine order. When alignment is present, effort becomes effective. When alignment is absent, effort becomes exhausting. This is why some people do more and gain less, while others do less and gain more. It is not injustice, it is alignment at work. Effort focuses on activity, but alignment focuses on direction. You can be very busy and still be moving away from your destiny. Alignment ensures that your energy is invested, not wasted. It is possible to be talented and still misalign. Talent without alignment produces frustration because it lacks divine backing. Alignment invites grace, and grace amplifies effort. Grace does not replace work, it empowers it. When grace is active, the same work begins to yield multiplied results. One of the signs of misalignment is constant struggle without progress. When every step feels resisted, it is wise to pause and evaluate alignment rather than increase effort. Many people respond to resistance by working harder when the real solution is adjustment. Alignment often requires small changes, but those changes produce massive shifts. A slight correction in direction can change an entire journey. This is why divine guidance is critical. Guidance reveals where adjustment is needed. Alignment also governs timing. You can be doing the right thing at the wrong time and still fail. Effort applied outside of season produces strain. Alignment places you in the right season where effort flows naturally. In that season, opportunities respond to you instead of you chasing them. This is not luck, it is synchronization. When your actions are synchronized with divine timing, resistance reduces and momentum increases. Another aspect of alignment is priority. Many lives are disordered because priorities are inverted. Time, energy, and focus are invested in what is urgent rather than what is important. Alignment restores order. When God is placed at the center, other areas begin to settle. Peace returns because the soul functions best when it is aligned with its source. Misplaced priorities drain strength, but aligned priorities restore it. Alignment also affects relationships. Not every connection is meant to walk with you into every season. Some relationships are seasonal, others are foundational. Misalignment in relationships creates emotional conflict and spiritual stagnation. When you are aligned, you attract relationships that sharpen rather than drain you. These connections do not necessarily come easily, but they come purposefully. Alignment filters relationships by relevance, not emotion. One of the hardest aspects of alignment is letting go of good things that are no longer right. Many people are stuck because they are holding on to past seasons. What worked before may not work now. Alignment requires discernment to recognize when a season has ended. Ending seasons is painful, but refusing to end them is costly. Alignment gives you the courage to release what no longer fits so that you can receive what is next. Effort alone produces burnout because it places pressure entirely on the individual. Alignment distributes pressure through divine support. When aligned, you are not carrying destiny alone. Wisdom guides decisions, peace governs emotions, and grace strengthens endurance. This does not mean challenges disappear, but it means challenges no longer control you. You face them with stability rather than anxiety. Another benefit of alignment is clarity. Confusion is often a symptom of misalignment. When you are unsure of direction, motivation weakens. Alignment brings clarity because it simplifies focus. You stop chasing multiple outcomes and concentrate on what truly matters. This clarity increases confidence, and confidence improves execution. When you know you are aligned, you move with assurance rather than hesitation. Alignment is maintained through humility. Pride resists adjustment because it equates change with failure. Humility understands that correction is not condemnation, it is refinement. Those who stay aligned are those who remain teachable. They listen, evaluate, and adjust when necessary. This flexibility keeps them responsive to guidance and protected from prolonged struggle. Alignment over effort is about positioning rather than pushing. It is about standing in the place where God can support what you are doing. Alignment is established, doors open without force, favor speaks without negotiation, and progress becomes sustainable. Effort is still required, but it is no longer the source of success. It becomes the expression of obedience within alignment. In this state, life flows with purpose. Strength is renewed daily, and results begin to reflect not just hard work, but divine order at work in and through you. Spiritual authority is not about dominance or loudness. It is about position, alignment, and legitimacy. Authority functions where permission has been granted, and in the realm of the spirit, authority is exercised through alignment with divine order. Many people desire open doors but attempt to access them through effort alone, negotiation, or emotional pressure. Doors that are governed spiritually do not respond to desperation. They respond to authority. When authority is present, doors open not because they were convinced, but because they were commanded. Authority begins with identity. You cannot command what you are not authorized to address. When you understand who you are and where you stand, your words carry weight. Identity is the foundation of authority. Those who are unsure of themselves speak timidly. Those who are established speak confidently. Spiritual authority flows from knowing that you are positioned, not striving for position. This confidence is quiet, but it is powerful. One of the reasons many doors remain closed is because people keep asking for what has already been given permission. Asking is appropriate when seeking direction, but commanding is appropriate when enforcing rights. Authority recognizes the difference. When authority is activated, prayer transitions from request to decree. This does not mean arrogance, it means alignment. You are not speaking your will, you are enforcing divine intent. Doors are often guarded by systems, rules, and spiritual permissions. These gates respond to authority, not emotion. When you approach life without understanding authority, you spend years negotiating with resistance. Authority shortens processes. It bypasses unnecessary struggle. When authority is exercised, doors that were previously resistant open with speed because the resistance recognizes legitimacy. Spiritual authority is cultivated, not assumed. It grows through obedience, integrity, and consistency. Authority is sustained by character. Without character, authority collapses under pressure. This is why some people experience temporary breakthroughs that cannot be maintained. They access a door but lack the authority to remain. true authority does not just open doors, it keeps them open. Another aspect of authority is discernment. Not every closed door is meant to be opened. Authority includes the wisdom to know which doors to command and which doors to walk away from. Some doors are closed for protection, not punishment. Authority does not override. Divine wisdom, it cooperates with it. This discernment prevents wasted energy and misdirected battles. Authority is also expressed through words. Words are carriers of power when spoken from alignment. When you speak with authority, your words are not reactive, they are intentional. You do not speak out of fear or frustration. You speak from conviction. This kind of speech creates shifts. It changes atmospheres, alters outcomes, and commands attention in the spirit realm. One of the challenges people face is inconsistency in authority. They speak boldly one day and retreat the next. Authority requires stability. Consistent alignment produces consistent results. When your life reflects order, your words carry credibility. Chaos in lifestyle weakens authority in prayer. This is why discipline matters. Discipline protects authority from dilution. Authority also demands responsibility. When you command doors to open, you must be prepared to walk through them. Many people want access without accountability. Authority includes the grace to steward what is open. Without stewardship, authority is revoked. This is not punishment, it is protection. Divine systems are designed to preserve what they release. Another dimension of authority is endurance. Some doors respond immediately, others respond progressively. Authority does not panic when resistance persists. It stands firm because it understands that resistance does not equal defeat. Persistence in authority creates pressure that eventually produces compliance. This persistence is not aggression. It is confidence rooted in truth. Commanding doors open also involves alignment with purpose. Doors open most easily when they serve destiny rather than ego. When your request aligns with purpose, authority flows freely. When motives are misaligned, authority weakens. This is why intention matters. Authority is strongest when the goal is impact, not image. Commanding doors to open by spiritual authority is about partnership with divine order. You are not forcing outcomes, you are enforcing alignment. When authority is exercised correctly, progress becomes natural. You stop begging for access and start walking in entitlement that comes from alignment. Doors open, paths are revealed, and resistance fades, not because life became easier, but because authority has been established. In this realm, breakthroughs are not accidental. They are the predictable response to alignment, identity, and disciplined authority. Breakthrough is not just about arrival, it is about remaining. Many people celebrate open doors but fail to understand that sustaining what God gives requires as much wisdom as receiving it. A breakthrough without wisdom can quickly turn into pressure, confusion, or loss. This is why many experience cycles of rise and fall. They receive opportunities, favor, or increase, but lack the inner structure to maintain it. Sustaining breakthrough is proof of maturity, not luck. Wisdom is the principle. Requirement for longevity. Wisdom teaches you how to manage success without being destroyed by it. Success exposes weaknesses more than failure does. When there is little, mistakes are hidden. When there is much, mistakes are amplified. Wisdom protects you from self-sabotage. It teaches you restraint, timing, and discernment. Without wisdom, breakthroughs create noise, but with wisdom, they create impact. One of the dangers after breakthrough is pride. Pride convinces people that what they received was purely the result of their effort. When gratitude disappears, entitlement takes its place. Gratitude keeps the heart soft and teachable. It reminds you that what you have is a gift to be stewarded. not a trophy to be displayed. A grateful heart remains aligned with the source, and alignment preserves supply. Humility is not weakness, it is strength under control. After breakthrough, humility keeps you learning. It allows you to listen, adjust, and grow. Many fall not because they lack talent, but because they stop listening. Humility creates space for counsel. When you remain open to correction, you remain protected from blind spots. Blind spots are more dangerous after success because they grow unnoticed. Sustaining breakthrough also requires discipline. New levels demand new systems. What worked before may not sustain what you have now. Discipline organizes your time, energy, and focus. Without discipline, success becomes chaotic. Discipline is not restriction, it is structure. Structure creates stability, and stability preserves growth. When discipline is ignored, small errors multiply into major losses. Another key to sustainability is accountability. Isolation after breakthrough is dangerous. Many people withdraw once they succeed, thinking they no longer need guidance. This is a mistake. Accountability provides perspective. It allows others to see what you may overlook. Trusted voices help you stay grounded. Breakthrough should increase your circle of accountability, not shrink it. Wisdom also teaches you how to manage pressure. Breakthrough brings visibility, expectation, and responsibility. Pressure is inevitable, but panic is optional. Those who lack wisdom react emotionally. Those with wisdom respond strategically. Wisdom teaches you when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to wait. This emotional intelligence preserves peace and effectiveness. Humility also governs how you treat people after breakthrough. How you handle those who supported you before success reveals your character. Success tests relationships. Some become arrogant, others become detached. Humility keeps you relationally healthy. It allows you to honor people regardless of status. This relational wisdom sustains favor and prevents unnecessary conflict. Another important factor is gratitude expressed through obedience. Gratitude is not just words, it is alignment. When you honor God with what He gives you, you preserve the flow. Many lose what they receive because they fail to acknowledge the source. Gratitude keeps the channel open. It transforms blessings into testimonies that glorify God rather than inflate ego. Sustaining breakthrough also requires vision. Without vision, success becomes directionless. Vision gives meaning to progress. It answers the question, why was this given? When you connect breakthrough to purpose, it becomes a tool for impact rather than a distraction. Vision protects you from settling. It keeps you moving forward with intention. Sustaining breakthrough is about balance. Extremes destroy stability. Balance keeps you healthy spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. It ensures that growth in one area does not cause neglect in another. Balance allows you to enjoy success without being consumed by it. This holistic stability is essential for longevity. When wisdom, humility, and gratitude work together, breakthroughs become permanent rather than temporary. You no longer fear losing what you receive because you understand how to steward it. Growth becomes steady, influence becomes meaningful, and peace becomes consistent. This is the highest level of success, not just rising, but remaining, not just breaking through, but building something that lasts. As we reflect on the power of prayer and its ability to activate divine help and produce unstoppable breakthroughs, it becomes clear that God's intervention is both intentional and precise. Breakthrough is not a matter of chance. It is a function of alignment, obedience, faith, and spiritual authority. The principles we have explored: divine help, alignment with seasons, activated faith, breaking cycles of delay, engaging spiritual laws, prioritizing alignment over effort, commanding doors through authority, and sustaining breakthroughs through wisdom form a comprehensive framework for accessing and maintaining divine favor. When these elements are embraced, prayer becomes more than words. It becomes a spiritual force that shifts circumstances, opens doors, and releases favor that is beyond human calculation. Divine help responds to preparation, posture, and persistence. It is activated when we position ourselves correctly through obedience, sacrifice, and surrender, and when our hearts are aligned with God's purposes. Faith amplifies prayer, transforming declarations into spiritual legislation that influences outcomes. Breaking cycles of delay and resistance ensures that stagnation does not hold back destiny, while understanding and operating within spiritual laws ensures that every action produces the maximum effect. Alignment over effort ensures that energy is directed efficiently, and spiritual authority empowers us to enforce divine will in situations that previously seemed immovable. Finally, sustaining breakthroughs through wisdom, humility, and gratitude ensures that the victories we receive are not temporary, but enduring, multiplying into lasting testimony. Today, as you engage in this prayer, position yourself to receive divine help without restriction. Declare with faith, act in obedience, and trust God's timing. Breakthrough is not just a moment, it is a season, a lifestyle, and a testimony waiting to be established in your life. The doors of impossibility are ready to open. Barriers are ready to collapse, and divine favor is prepared to accelerate your journey. Step into this moment with confidence, knowing that unstoppable breakthroughs are your portion. In faith, persistence, and alignment, every limitation gives way to the extraordinary, and every prayer becomes a channel of God's miraculous intervention.